Let's be honest. India's corporate leadership is at a breaking point. You see, while our economy is booming, our leadership pipeline is developing some serious cracks. Why? Well, because we're trying to use Western tools for Indian realities, and it's just not working. So today, we're going to dig into why and map out a brand new, culturally calibrated approach for the Indian century. But first, let's talk about the real cost of getting this wrong.
14 crore rupees. Just let that number sink in for a moment. This isn't revenue, it's not profit, it is the actual documented cost of a single senior promotion that failed at a major Indian firm because the leader was uncoached. This isn't just a bad hire, it's the staggering price of a failure we should have seen coming.
So, what does a number that big really tell us? It points to a massive, hidden flaw in our system. And look, the problem isn't a lack of talent. We all know India produces millions of incredibly capable managers. The real issue is a failure in translation. We're struggling to convert all that raw managerial talent into the kind of leadership that can handle today's insane complexity. To really get to the bottom of this, we have to audit the very tools we've been using. And that brings us to our first section, taking a hard look at why the standard imported leadership models just run out of steam and ultimately fail in the Indian context. Okay, so here's the core of the problem. A staggering 78% of all peer-reviewed coaching research, the stuff our leadership programs are built on, is based on Western, individualistic, English-speaking samples. What that means is the entire playbook corporate India has been using has a massive geography problem. It was never actually designed for our reality. And this slide, wow, it really shows the clash of these two operating systems. You see, Western coaching is built for low-power distance cultures, where your boss is more of a collaborator, and it asks the individual, who am I? But in the Indian corporate reality, which is often a high-power distance environment, your identity comes from your role inside a much larger system. The more powerful question here isn't who am I, but what is my Dharma, my duty, in this specific role? So if the old maps are wrong, what does the new one look like? We can't just tweak what we've been doing, we actually need a new framework. So let's jump into section 2 and explore a model built from the ground up for India, the Quantum-Vedantic Framework. Now, this isn't some high-level philosophical thing. The Quantum-Vedantic Leadership Coaching model, or QVLC for short, is a real, practical diagnostic tool. It gets its name by blending the interconnected view from quantum physics with the role-based clarity of Vedantic philosophy. And it all works along 3 core diagnostic axes. Let's break down the first one. The first axis is what's called wave-particle duality. Think of a leader operating in 2 modes. The particle mode is the stuff we all know how to measure. Their job title, their KPIs, their ability to execute. But the wave mode? That's the secret sauce. It's their relational influence, their ability to sense and shape the entire system around them. For too long, we've only focused on developing the particle, but today's world demands leaders who have truly mastered the wave. The second axis is quantum entanglement. You know how they say no person is an island? Well, that's exactly what this is about. Every leader is entangled or connected to multiple systems at once: their family, their team, their organization. And these connections create invisible forces that pull on their decisions. For instance, a leader might avoid a tough but necessary call because of how it might impact their family's sense of stability. Standard coaching, which just focuses on the individual, completely misses this invisible systemic field. And the third axis is Vedantic Dharma alignment. Now, instead of framing coaching as fixing a weakness, which often just triggers shame and defensiveness, this approach flips the script. It's all about clarification. It's about aligning a leader's unique nature, their sva-dharma, with what their role truly requires from them. And that simple reframe unlocks genuine curiosity and buy-in for real change.
This all sounds great in theory, right? But what about the bottom line? Does it actually deliver tangible business results? Let's move past the theory and get into the hard numbers in section 3, looking at coaching not as an HR expense, but as a serious capital investment.
344%. Yeah, you heard that right. According to the International Coaching Federation, that is the median return on investment for executive coaching. So the takeaway here is crucial. We have to stop thinking about leadership development as some soft, optional HR expense. It is a high-yield capital investment in your most important asset. And this chart just brilliantly illustrates that impact. I mean, look at the difference. Based on real data from over 180 leaders who went through this model, the time it takes to get them ready for that next big role plummets. The industry benchmark is about 18 months. With this approach, just 5.8 months. That is a game-changing acceleration of your leadership pipeline. And this kind of speed is absolutely critical, especially when you look at India's booming Global Capability Center, or GCC sector. As these massive organizations, we're talking 1.6 million people, shift from being back-office cost centers to global innovation hubs, they need a whole new type of leader, someone who can influence without direct authority. And that is the exact skill the QVLC model is designed to build.
So, how does this model actually get put into practice? Let's move to Section 4 and check out the operational framework that makes sure there's accountability and proves the ROI, the 6-month OKR Sprint. The real game changer here is transforming coaching from what can feel like a vague, open-ended conversation into a time-bound, measurable project. The 6-month OKR Sprint, that's objectives and key results, is what provides the structure, the stakeholder buy-in, and the clear evidence you need to actually quantify its business value.
It's a really clear process. On day 1, the leader, their manager, and their coach all sit down and define 3 to 5 measurable goals. At the 90-day mark, there's a midpoint review, not just a check-in, but a real recalibration using feedback from the people they work with every day. And at the end, on day 180, the outcomes are measured not just by behavior change, but by their actual quantifiable impact on the business. Okay, let's zoom out one last time and connect all these pieces to the bigger picture. This brings us to our final section, a look at what could truly be India's leadership renaissance.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? It's pretty simple, really. The future of leadership development in India isn't about finding a slightly better Western framework to import. It's about having the confidence to build a coaching architecture that is deeply, authentically, and unapologetically rooted in India's own cultural and corporate realities. And that leaves us with this one final, powerful idea. The goal isn't just to develop more leaders anymore. It's to precisely calibrate the leaders we have for the unique challenges and the absolutely massive opportunities of the Indian century.